Good morning, everyone. Happy belated Valentine's. And today we are going to have breakfast. And what I have for breakfast would be steak. This is rare steak. And eggs plus two extra eggs. So we have a total of four eggs and a steak. Nakakatakot ba para sa iba for me to eat this after breakfast? So this breakfast is what I will eat after about 16 hours, going 17 hours of fasting. Last night, yung kinain ko lang would be yung pancake yesterday na hindi ko rin nakain that morning. And binaon ko lang siya in the clinic. I was able to eat yesterday a total of 3 eggs and then yung low carb pancake. So maybe mga almost 5 eggs and then yung almond flour and coconut flour. Somewhat yun lang. And then I drink one whey protein isolate drink. So it's a mostly protein and fats only. Approximately nasa mga siguro 60 grams of proteins all in all, 60 to 70 grams of proteins. And then for my egg, that would be about 20. So medyo kulang yung kinain ko yesterday. And right now, after 7 kilometers of run and walk, I'm going to have breakfast. And with me here, yung aking mga trabaho. Wala akong kasama ngayon. But I have books to read and things to do before my work later on. And I thought of eating a hearty meal. So, again, we have plain black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Binibigyan pa nila, but we will just return it. And for my main meal, it's just steak and eggs. So, sa iba, natatakot, I think, especially yung mga daddy, yung mga lalaki, they are always being warned na huwag kumain ng karne kasi nakakataas ng uric acid, nakakataas daw ng creatinine, yung kanilang yung kanilang kidney ay nasisira. But if you think about it, before pa sila na-diagnose with all those problems, actually, kung titingnan nyo, hindi naman sila ganun kadalas kumain talaga ng steak. Di ba? Kasi mahal din kung araw-araw kumain ng steak. The last steak that I ate was December pa ata. So, ano ba? Nung December pa. So, kain muna tayo. This is my first bite. Good morning. So, may tanong si ma'am related to pains and 1 month na daw, si sir pala, 1 month na nagkikito. So, the problem with this, na tumataas yung uric acid, you are actually not balancing your intake of protein and potassium. Walang problem with intake of protein. But if you are overeating your protein without the balance of the right electrolytes, that is potassium. And then, kapag hindi mo rin tinitake care yung inyong salt intake, it will lead into low potassium in the body, and that low potassium magkakaroon ng net impact of higher uric acid accumulation. That's why in studies, especially in children, na kung saan yung pinaka-extensive na scientific evidence how keto diet or a high-fat diet and high-protein diet sometimes can lead into stone formation is only minimal, mga 20% lang. But it happens when you don't have a balance of potassium. So, if you are to think about it, yes, kailangan i-control, i-optimize yung intake natin ng proteins, especially if meron na talagang sira yung kidneys natin. There's already problems with our kidney function, CKD 2, 3, 4. But you have to acknowledge that before you get afraid to eat proteins, mas una muna kayong matakot sa pagkain ng sugar, sa pagkain nyo ng carbohydrates. Because between proteins and carbohydrates, proteins can only become bad kapag kinakain natin ito kasabay ng sugar. And eating proteins alone is actually not damaging. Unless sobra-sobra talaga. But I think yung sobra-sobra is mahirap yan i-achieve, especially for us Filipinos. Yung sobrang protein would be more than 1 kilo of lean meat in a day. Wala naman akong kilalang ganun siguro ka sobra. Except for one person na nag-gym na sobrang laki-laki na niya and he is eating like, 15 spare ribs. 15 spare ribs yung kinakain niya in that meal. And I think hindi na rin niya ganun kakailangan yun. Although you can see na it's bulking up his muscles, but it's not my kind of look. So, this is their breakfast steak kasi maaga pa. They don't have the available full steak. So, okay lang din kasi maliit lang. Parang ihirap din ubusin yung isang full slab of steak. So, this breakfast steak, it goes with rice because nasa Pilipinas tayo eh. But actually, if you eat outside, walang rice sa iba. So, and this is going to be my main meal. Before, hindi rin ako sanay kumain ng bloody steak. But now, na-appreciate ko na. So, yan, no? Ay, yung isipin natin hilaw. So, it's rare. But it's actually not blood. Because blood is hemoglobin. And this one, kahit para siyang dugo, it's not blood. It's myoglobin. It's the red component na nasa muscle fibers. Kasi wala naman itong dugo. Wala naman itong masyadong blood vessels. So, it's myoglobin. It's the iron that is in the muscles. That's why for those with anemia, na nagtatanong kung ano yung kanilang pwedeng kainin when it comes to increasing iron, because yung mga iron supplements is actually not gonna be much of help. Hindi siya natural na heme iron na para sa ating katawan na we can easily incorporate in our system. But the more natural iron, the more organic iron that we can eat, that we can consume safely, are actually from meat, red meat. So, the only reason for me, I think, para sa mga tao not to eat steak, red meat, beef, if it's for religious reasons, because that's their belief. But otherwise, if wala ka namang religious component na inaalala, then you can easily enjoy it. And there's a lot of red meat. Kung ayaw mo mag-beef, merong pork. I know maraming sabi na allergic sila sa chicken, allergic sila sa eggs, pero wala pa ako narinig na taong allergic sa baboy at saka sa beef. Which only goes to show that it's natural for us to eat red meat. And then when it comes to sustainability, na sinasabing hindi daw maganda sa environment yung pagpanaykain ng meat. Meat is part of our nature. The animals are part of our nature. Kung tama yung pagkaka-raise sa kanila, yung pastured race, yung nasa damuhan, they're actually even good for our environment. And when it comes to carbon footprint, yung sinasabi ng mga environmentalists na you lessen your carbon footprint, you avoid eating meat. Actually, pinag-aralan na yan. There's really no basis about it. Especially na, what one thing that can really make your carbon footprint the least, yung pinaka less damaging sa environment, is actually when you don't eat at all if you are fasting. And fasting is quite hard. Mahirap siya if you are dependent on carbs, if you are dependent on processed foods, if you are dependent on sugar. Because mayat maya, gugutumin ka. But if you are eating meat, like this one, like this egg and beef, hindi ka mayat maya gugutumin. You can sustain a day. That's why, like yesterday, yung kinain ko sa umaga was just the 3 pieces of eggs. And then yung next meal ko was around 5 in the afternoon. Yun yung low carb pancakes, which is still composed of eggs and protein. And yun na yun. And this one, today, eto na rin yung kakainin ko. Now, for economy. Sasabihin nilang, mahal naman yan. Because, eto yung pinili kong protein ngayon. But, minsan, hindi rin ako kumakain ng may karne. Puro itlog lang. And the eggs, 5 itlog, that's less than 50 pesos. And you can have other sources of proteins na mura. Manok, mura ang manok. Isda, mura din. So, it's just a matter of you knowing kung saan mo kukunin yung inyong protein source. So, today, I choose to get my protein source from eggs and steak because wala lang. This steak place, isa to sa mga early na mag-open kasi every morning sa kung saan kami nag-jog, saan kami nag-walk. So, ilang araw ko na rin siya tinitingnan na I want to try kung ano yung steak nila dito. And somewhat, it's good. And it's also good na breakfast steak lang para hindi ganun kalaki. Hindi ganun ka bigat. Because sobrang dalig mabusog. And hindi lang siya busog na yung parang mabubutas yung tiyan mo. Para na siyang pagkiramdam. Yan. Tingnan natin. Good morning, everybody. Kain tayo. Mayad na aga. So, na Bisaya, mayong buntag sa tanan, mayong aga sa mga alas sa Bacolod. Ano yung coffee ko? So, my coffee is anything plain. So, actually, meron na sa kung meron kung gusto ko lang humingi doon. My brother-in-law Ken is always the one preparing for both of us. And minsan, yung pinakamadali, meron din akong instant coffee, yung stick. Yung magkano yun? 2 piso ba yun? Yung stick. But yung binibili ko, yung pouch. Kasi yung stick, sobrang dami ng plastic. So, hindi maganda sa environment. Good morning, Lou. This March 27th, if you want to be a part of that. So, it's going to be a fine dining night. But before that, magkakaroon ng demo on how to make kayo mismo, pwede nyong sundin sa inyong bahay. Good morning sa lahat. So, for those who are afraid to eat meat, before you get to be afraid of eating meat, mas matakot muna sa sugar and carbs. because sugar and carbs plus meat may be extra harmful, but sugar and carbs alone pwedeng maging harmful on their own, especially if too much yung kinakain yung ganyan. Noong unang panahon, when I eat, sobrang bilis. We chew more. Kaya rin siguro hindi talaga lumaliit yung mukha ko. Habang tumatagal, I think mas tumalaki pa yung mukha ko. And it's because of the exercise ng masticator muscles. So for those who want to increase ng karne, ngumuya na ngumuya because it will make your muscles bigger. So good morning everyone. Divine, nagtatanong about adult adult milk. So yung milk by evolution, hindi talaga to is just the ones from breast milk. Yun ang talaga yung natural para sa atin. It's only about 5,000 years ago na nagsimulang ma-expose tayo to cow's milk and the other products of cow's milk, cheese and dairies. Now, there are people who have evolved na naka-adapt sila to cheese and dairies. Kaya na nilang ma-tolerate yon. But mas marami pa rin na hindi tolerant sa cheese and dairies. And if you are not tolerant to cheese and dairies, meron kayong lactose intolerance, and you feel bloated after eating cheese and dairies, or if you have known allergies or hormonal imbalances, then it is best to avoid cheese and dairies. Nakaka-addict yung cheese and dairies, no? Because it is like real food, but para sa mga young. It's for growth and development. And overeating of foods that can promote growth and development can actually also lead to cancer. That's why we have to limit. And if you want to really include milk and dairies, cheese and dairies in your food, make sure na meron kayong parang pacing. Okay? Hindi lang basta kakain nyo ito all day, every day, and not being mindful sa mga kakain nyo together with it. So, this is egg. Natatakot pa rin ba yung iba kumain ng yellow ng itlog? I hope you are not, because egg is one of the healthiest food in the world. Okay? Yung iba na merong mga allergies with eggs, it's a hypersensitive response or body is already inflamed to start with. So just try to check kung meron kayong intake of other inflammatory foods, and those inflammatory foods would include sugar, would include milk, cheese, and dairies. Yung iba, kanin, and yung mga desserts, soft drinks. To some extent, kahit yung mga fruits, especially dito sa Pilipinas, na kung every time mamunga yung fruits is sobrang bonggang-bongga. Sino nagpapa-shoutout dyan? Si Gina. Hello, Gina. Saging na saba, still fruit, very high in glucose, 20 grams net carb per piece. So, isang saging, ay katumbas ng half rice at katumbas nito ay kayang maglagay ng 5 teaspoons of sugar in your, for example, in your 1 cup of coffee kasi sobrang tamis na. Imagine you are consuming, eating equivalent to that 5 teaspoons of white sugar every time you eat one banana, one saging. Yung difference na yung malambot would be yung mga hinog na, it would be high in glucose. But yung saba na hilaw pero niluluto, so it would be high in starch. So anong pinagkaiba ng glucose and starch? So glucose is like instant sugar na makakapagpataas ng inyong blood sugar. Starch is actually a complex sugar. So hindi siya matamis, but the moment it's broken down, na i-process na siya ng inyong katawan, ng inyong stomach, ng inyong enzymes sa inyong laway, sa ating gastric acid, it is easily broken down. It's an parang hindi siya ready to cook. Parang siyang hindi ready to eat na sugar. But it's still instant sugar almost. Yung mga matatamis, yung pure glucose, yun yung mga instant sugar na. Mm. Mm. Merong nagtatanong. Yeah, we have a food list if ever. Kung gusto nyo, meron tayo dyan. JGC Rojo food list. Tingnan nyo lang. I think I also made a video about that. Kailan po ang best time na mag-inom ng tsaa? At ilang tsaa ang pwedeng inumin araw-araw? So, based on studies, as much as 12 cups of tea. For coffee naman, maximum lang kung pwede 5 to maximize the benefit. If you drink more coffee than 5 cups equivalent, then you are already consuming more than what you need at hindi na rin siya magkakaroon ng added benefits. So, magpa-plateau na. Before, hindi ko kayang uminom ng black coffee. But now, hindi ko na kayang uminom ng hindi black coffee. Yun na lang yung nakasanayan kong inumin. And that's the best way to maximize the benefit of coffee. And for coffee lovers, good news, you can get benefit of coffee if you consume 3 to 5 cups of coffee in a day. But be mindful of your timing. Kung pwede, merong mga up to 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours difference from your last coffee intake and your sleeping time para hindi ma-disrupt yung inyong circadian rhythm. And best time to take tea all throughout the day. You can just enjoy your tea. And then, when it comes to coffee, tingnan nyo lang if you are reacting well to coffee. Because others, pwede siyang good, parang bibilis yung metabolism mo. But also, when your metabolism is increasing so much, meron din yung trade-off. Parang bibilis ka rin tatanda. Meron siyang ganong trade-off. So, a good metabolism is good, pero maybe it has an exchange when it comes to longevity. So, it's a trade-off. Ano yung iba-value ninyo? Hello, Erlen from Toronto, Canada. Nagpa-plan akong mag-visit sa Canada. Kung magiging okay yung mga plano natin sa buhay. Nandun din si Sir Tony, di ba? Thank you po for the invite, sir. Alam mo, i-update talaga namin yung mga invite na yan. Sige. So, that's our steak and eggs for breakfast. Happy Valentine's po. Valentine's Day pa rin pala in in Canada and US, no? Dito kasi Feb 15 na. So, it's actually my own Valentine treat. Kasi kahapon, hindi tayo nagkaroon ng time. Pagkain ng mayaman sa potassium sa low carb. Mga pagkain. So, mga pagkain mayaman sa potassium, green leafy vegetables, usually 1 cup of green leafy vegetables, nasa around 500 grams na yan of potassium. So, if we need 3,500, 7 cups of green leafy vegetables. So, hindi talaga sabi na kailangang mahal because these green leafy vegetables, pwede lang natin itanim if you have front yard or backyard, kahit maliit na garden lang. Hindi kailangan magastos. And that is if you are tolerant to green leafy vegetables. Kasi the other side of green leafy vegetables, mataas din siya sa oxalates. So yung oxalates, these are inherent sa mga plant foods. The higher the oxalates, eventually mag-accumulate yan sa ating katawan. It is even considered to be the cause of mga kidney stones, and it's not really directly related to uric acid. There are urate crystals, but hindi lang urate crystals or uric acid yung always na cause ng kidney stone. Sometimes it's also oxalates, oxalic acid, oxalate crystals. Ito yung mga bitter part ng pagkain ng mga plants. And if you will see, baka meron kayong kilala, hindi mahilig sa karne. Pero meron pa rin parang arthritis parate. Marami pa rin, meron pa rin kidney stone. Then maybe it's not really because of too much protein, but maybe it's because of too much oxalates in your system. I've been in low carb going 4 years now, together with fasting. And na-try ko na rin mag-low carb na vegetarian, low carb vegan, just for experiment, low carb carnivore. Nagawa na natin yung lahat. And so far, I know myself na hindi ako ganun ka-tolerant when it comes to plant foods. So, kakaunti lang yung matotolerate kong plant foods. Kaya, when I eat, it's mostly animal-based. So, like 80 to 90% ng kinakain ko, yung calories coming from proteins and fats are mostly galing talaga sa meat and eggs. Sila yung pinaka-staple. And then the others, like tea, eto, yung tea na this is hibiscus tea. So, flower tea. Hibiscus, alam niyo ba kung ano yung hibiscus? Gumamela lang yun. And then this one is coffee. These are plant-based. So, yun yung natotolerate ko. I like vegetables. Like, gusto ko yung lasa ng vegetables. Nakakawala ng umay. And then, masarap din sa pakiramdam initially. But I now know na after I eat vegetables, I really feel bloated. And hindi maganda yung pakiramdam ko with vegetables. And did you know na whenever I eat vegetables, dun pa nagkakaroon ng parang problema when it comes to bowel movement. Because fiber is not really the end-all, be-all solution when it comes to constipation. I know isa yon sa mga concerns ng mga taong kumakain ng karne na they have constipation daw. Pero yung constipation is yung tendency na feeling mo, sobrang gusto mong ilabas but hindi makalabas. But actually, when you eat meat, hindi mo talaga ganon karami yung inyong stool bulk because most of these foods, you really digest. So, kaunti na lang yung matitirang parang waste na basura. So, the reason why you don't have the urge to go to the toilet is because wala ka talagang idudumi. And the only thing that you have to correct is your mindset. Kasi, hindi nyo kailangang pilitin kung wala pa. If you go into mostly animal-based food intake, it's okay na kung magpo-poop kayo every 3 to 4 days. That's okay. Huwag niyong pilitin. Kasi sa atin, sanay tayo na every morning, meron tayong routine at feeling natin kung wala tayong ilalabas ay parang hindi na kompleto yung araw natin. But actually, it's just mindset. Mhm. Sorry ha. Yun yung pinag-uusapan natin while I'm eating. At hindi ako nag-gross out, no? Because maybe I just think of it as something like medical, scientific. I think it's irrelevant topic. And I decided to share this meal with you kasi kanina, every morning, we do have a morning walk and talk episode. Yun lang yung sa audio room. So in our audio room, para siyang podcast na while I'm doing my morning walk, nagkakwento lang. But this morning, something happened na na-filter, hindi makita. So, I completed it. Pero, after the episode, hindi ko na siya mahanap. Facebook, meron siyang mga glitch na ganyan. So, to compensate, especially sa mga regulars na natin in our city walk and talk, I decided to make this morning live a combination of our live episode, low carb and fasting na mga chika. And at the same time, parang city walk and talk na rin. But this time, hindi na ako naglalakad. Kumakain lang. How about yung mga herbal na coffee? It depends kung saan ang galing. But the studies on coffee are actually from caffeine, from coffee beans. So if it's no longer from coffee beans, so we don't know kung ano na yung component yan. There are the kakakwento, no? Meron nga daw rice coffee and then sabi nila it's also healthy but we now see na yung rice coffee para lang siyang nasunog na rice. Lumit yung boses ko. In our specialty in ENT, head and neck surgery, yung T dyan is the throat. So, before, kapag nagaganito, I have these episodes na yun. Parang nagkakaroon ako ng aspiration from my own laway, from my own food, para nagpapanik yung iba. But now, ako hindi ako nagpapanik. Kasi alam ko exactly what's happening. My vocal cords is like that. And then, yung vocal cords natin, whenever we speak, nag-open, close. And then, yung daanan ng pagkain is behind, nasa likod ng vocal cords. And supposedly, whenever we swallow, kino-cover yan ng ating epiglottis. So, para ma-protect. But sometimes, if you are not focusing so much, just like what we are doing now, kumikwento habang kumakain, habang umiinom, so nagkakaroon ng hindi tamang coordination. So, when I swallowed, hindi na close yung daanan ng hangin, yung daanan ng ating airway, and then it's filled. And then yun, that's irritation. So, hindi yan COVID. not everything na inubo ay COVID. So, sometimes it's just irritation. So, a little clearing out, mawawala din naman. Yan. So, when it comes to coffee, if you want coffee, just any coffee. Sa Pilipinas, maraming coffee. I think meron na ngayong different kinds of coffee per province. And so far, they're all good. Meron lang iba nagde-differ when it comes to acidity and yung kanilang, the way they roast it. So if it's dark roast, so ito yung parang mas sunog. If it's light roasted, so hindi masyadong sunog. But generally, if it's just for caffeine, somewhat pare-pareho, very negligible. Unless very particular ka talaga. So yan. So I think I made a video about coffee, kung ano yung best way to maximize the benefits of coffee. It's good to drink coffee, but if you want to maximize the benefits, pwede kang magkaroon ng break. Maybe in a week, 4 or 5 times, at bigyan mo ito ng surprise break, like a 2-day break in between, para the next time around, yung katawan mo, ma-excite na naman ulit sa coffee. Because if it's already part of your routine, continuous na, then you can develop what we call tolerance. So, yung maximum benefit from drinking coffee para sa nagpa-plateau. So, to remind yourself, you can take a break from coffee and then resume again. So, ganon. Sige. Maraming salamat, Nila. Glucerna and other mga milk for diabetics. If you look at their ingredients, puro chemicals. Malitol, yung mayroon silang mga sweeteners na process. It's really, for me, yun lang yun. You can choose to drink that if you want that. But for me, hindi ko yan i-advise sa pamilya ko. Hindi ko yan i-advise sa mga mahal ko sa buhay. Even to my friends, hindi ko yan i-advise for them to take it. Because in our masterclass, you can see there na sobrang dami ng, for the longest time, umiinom sila ng mga for diabetic drinks na yon. But still, they are injecting insulin. They need yung mga metformin, glyburide. Sobrang daming mga gamot for diabetic na hindi pa rin bumabagsak. However, when they did low carb without those anti-diabetic daw na mga milk for diabetics, they even improve. At ang mamahal pala nun, no? I didn't know. It's not worth it. Meron kasing palabas sa TV. Nade-distract ako. Kaya ngayon sa bahay, walang TV. Kasi bakit talaga ako may TV? If ever it's turned on, nanonood talaga ako. But if it's not there, hindi ko siya hinahanap. All other coffee. Yung may mga brand, we are not against any brand. But we cannot promote anything na hindi natin alam kung ano yung components. The only thing that can help siguro with you sa pag-inom ng product na yan is the placebo effect. Do you know kung ano yung placebo effect? Placebo effect is the improvement that you feel whenever you consume a certain product because of your belief that it will help you. So it's not really the product, but it's your faith, it's your belief. In medical studies, merong yung experimental drug and merong placebo drug. Pareho sila ng kulay, pero yung isa walang laman. And then, for the experimental drug to be considered as effective, it should have an effect way greater. Mas malaki yung effect niya sa placebo effect because it's already a given. it's already part of the expected outcome na yung mga taong umiinom ng gamot ng kahit walang laman, but akala nila meron itong laman. Ito yung gamot na makapagpapagaling sa kanila. In the placebo effect can be as low as 10 to 15%. In some cases, it can be as high as up to 60 to 75%. Akalain mo yun? And para siyang nakakatuwa. But we can actually maximize that. And we can maximize that by believing that what we are doing is making us heal. So, kung ang iba, nahihirapan silang magkaroon ng ganong belief system, magkakaroon ng ganong strong belief na gagaling sila without eating or buying something, then that's why bumibili sila. But sa totoo lang, you don't need that. If only you believe na yung ginagawa mo is already good enough, you can already maximize the placebo effect without possibly damaging your body. Kasi yung mga binibiling products are mostly hindi yan, hindi rin yan all natural, kahit ba natural na i-process na yan. Steak and eggs, however, if it's eaten outside, I think one of the safest, except lang for the oil that they use. Pero you can just specify kung ayaw mong maglagay ng oil, like ipapoach mo lang. So, lutuin in water, you can have that para walang oil. And then the steak is grilled. Wala ring oil. Sometimes, if they cook it, they usually do it with butter, which is still a good kind of oil. Nagtatanong si Menchu kung pwede ihalo yung chia seeds sa drinks during fasting. So, chia seeds is actually high in fats. So, meron siyang calories. And when we talk about clean fasting, walang calories. So, just drinks, just plain water, coffee na black, or herb teas. So, yung mga teas na hindi matatamis. Yung fruit teas, you can take, pero during your eating window. That's why, I think this is, I don't know, it's red tea eh. Hibiscus, so, this is hibiscus, so gumamela, parang flower. But I think meron siyang kasamang mga berry na tea because it tastes a little sweet. So, that's why kagabi, hindi ko na ininom. And I just took it home and inumin ko siya ngayon while I'm on my eating window habang kumakain ako. Para hindi na siya part ng fasting. Kanina before going for a run, yung routine ko is just water and then salt. Kumukuha ko ng maybe mga 10 butil ng mga salt, yung mga rock salt na Himalayan salt para malaki. And so far, it's effective. Never ako nagka-cramps. For the last 17 days na everyday nagja-jog tayo, nagra-run, hindi ako nagka-cramps. And so, chia seeds, pwede mo siyang ihalo sa iyong drink, sa iyong food. But advice is during your eating window na lang. Okay? Para mas maximize mo yung benefit. Also, it's now day 15 of February. Thank you so much sa mga sumali to our low carb and fasting masterclass this month. Your planner, hopefully, darating siya before the end of the month. Pero sa ngayon, I hope you do keep a record of your daily fasting. Ganong oras ko fast at kung ano yung kinain ninyo. So that kapag dumating na yung planner, yung free Happy Healthy Planner natin, you can already transfer it there. Ako din, ito-transfer ko rin yung journal ko for the last January and February the moment na dumating na yung final planner. And for those who wish to join, message nyo lang yung admins natin. We have a growing community. Kasi we cannot answer all questions in our live because ang hirap sumagot ng mga tanong na hindi ko alam kung ano yung inyo nang nalalaman when it comes to low carb and fasting. Because in our exclusive group, in our masterclass, alam ko that everyone have access to our premium contents, yung mga modules natin, yung ating mga online courses talaga on how to do it step by step. So, I know I can talk freely because pareho na tayo ng language. You already understand what I'm talking about. And so, I can freely answer your questions. But in our public pages, mahirap pong sumagot doon because others, marami kasi sa inyo yung silent viewers and silent listeners. And it's okay. Walang problema yan. Ako mismo ganun din ako, maybe in other groups. But it's hard to assess. Baka bigla kayong ma-inspire at meron kayong gawin. But for all we know, hindi para yun mabuti para sa inyo. Because it will be different from person to person. Si Ma'am Carmen, nung December pa naka-enroll. It's okay po for the masterclass enrollees before Feb. You can have it at production cost lang. So, kung magkano lang yung kuha namin, yun lang yung babayaran. Because the rate is 1,400. But then, since late na siya, it's now 1,900. But it's just 750 for those na previous na masterclass na. Dapat i-view nyo na yung masterclass kasi nandun yung inyong proper guidance talaga. So, I hope you do the masterclass para make sure na equipped kayo with knowledge and then one thing about the masterclass, successful na when it comes to their healing journey, is mas madali itong ituro sa inyong mga mahal sa buhay. Yes, hindi lang po PCOS, but also hypertension. Marami na rin nag-heal because hypertension might take a little time to normalize. Yung diabetes kasi sobrang dali lang. In 1 day, in 2 days, you can already see improvement. With hypertension, in 1 week, you can see improvement, but sometimes sa simula, meron pa siyang fluctuations. So, meron pang trial and error, corrections with your way of eating, with your activity, para makita mo talaga na kung ano yung mga pinaka-safe na food list for you. So, sabi ni Gino, mula nang sinunod ko, kahit papaano ay gumanda ang pakiramdam ko, hindi na ako hinihingal. Pag nag-field, malaking tulong doktora ang lahat ng ibinahagi niyo sa amin. You're very much welcome po. There. So, for those who need to enroll in our masterclass, meron tayong Facebook group for that, Facebook page for that. Search nyo lang yan. LCF Masterclass by yours truly. Diyan po yung official enrollment natin. Tsaka I've heard na meron parang iba na nagmamarket ng masterclass na using our contents. Gumagamit ng ating pictures. Merong iba gumagamit ng ating free videos. Sobrang gagaling nila, no? But they're actually selling it for a price even if yung mga videos na nilalagay nila are just supposedly free. Hindi yung premium videos. So, wala naman silang copyright infringement doon. Okay lang naman. And at least they're helping the advocacy. But for those of you who want to do it the right way, the first time, yung page na ito, this is our only official page for our masterclass enrollment. Okay? Yan. Basahin yung sabi ni Ma'am Coralon. Stop na ako paggamit ng mga diabetic drinks kasi mahal na. Hindi rin nag-normal sugar ko. Ngayon, 5 months no rice na ako. In 1 month, lagi below 100 till now sugar ko. Thanks a lot, marami. Akong natutunan sa'yo. Welcome po. And also, dumadami na rin yung nanonood sa ating video in YouTube na nasa ating live. Cashew nuts, kasoy is high carb. Per serving of that, yung mga nasa 1/3 cup lang. So I think more than 20 grams of net carbs na. So, sobrang dami. So, also, I chose this restaurant kasi medyo tahimik dito, except now, na maingay na sila. Yeah, you can just enroll in the masterclass. It's a recorded video. So, anytime you can spare 20 minutes a day. Kahit yung pagkagising mo late at night. Dali lang yan. Passive lang. Passive time. But you are maximizing your learning. Ngayon, ibang tao na talaga ako. Automatically, nagigising na ako ng 6 o'clock. Sometimes even before 6. At hindi ako nagpapa-alarm. I'm not fond of alarms. Hindi siya maganda sa aking mental health. Para akong naprapraning kapag merong alarm. So, I don't do alarm. I just wake up naturally. And right now, I wake up naturally around 6. So that's why mukha natin ganyan lang. Only had 6 hours of sleep, mga 6.5. And then, well rested na din. Meron akong ikwento sa inyo sa mga tricks about sleeping. And if hindi ka rin kayo makatulog, maybe that's also something to do with your position with your bed and your position in lying down. Kwentuhan ko kayo on another time. But I think it's effective. Yung sinunod ko yan. And then for the longest time, sinunod ko. Kahit yung tulog ko, less than 6 hours minsan, it's still a well-rested sleep. And sobrang dali kong nakakatulog. And when I wake up, hindi rin yung mabigat yung pakiramdam. Yung parang may nagpo-pull sa'yo sa bed. Hindi. When I get up now, automatic, tumatayo na ako. But for the longest time, buong buhay ko, feeling ko every time I wake up, parang merong magnet na nag-drag sa akin sa bed. But now, it's different. Thank you so much po, Philbert Quijano, for sharing your story. And maraming salamat for the appreciation. So sa mga hindi maka-imagine dyan kung paano kumain ng walang kanin, I'm about to finish my meal. Konti na lang natitira. So tama lang siya for me. 4 na itlog at isang maliit na meat. Mga ano kaya yun? Mga maybe 4 matchbox. Parang mga nasa 120 grams of meat. So equivalent niyan when it comes to proteins, mga 28 or maybe average natin 30 grams of protein. So 30 grams of protein coming from meat plus 6 times 4, 24. So maybe nasa 54, round off 50 grams of proteins. And fats, mga nasa 10, and then 30 grams of fats. If you compute for their calories, so 30 grams of fats times 9. Kasi per gram of fats is 9 kilocalories. So 3 times 9, 180. And then 50, gawin natin 60. 60 times 4 kasi per gram of protein is 4 kilocalories. So 6 times 4 is 240. 240 plus 180. So 300, 400. So 400. Ano yun? 240 yun, no? 420. Tama ba? So, parang marami na siya. At parang nakakabusog na siya. Pero, pang ano lang pala yun, 1 meal lang. But what's good with low carb, kahit may mga araw na konti yung kinakain nyo, hindi bababa yung inyong metabolism to a point na masisira yung inyong metabolism because you're already fat adapted. You are already fueling on fats and proteins. So the moment na may mga araw na kakaunti yung kakainin ninyo, then your body will just instantly tap to your fat stores. Yung kukunin niyang pagkain would be from your stored fats. So that's why when I eat according to time, according to my convenience, according to my mood, according to my nutritional needs. Kaya hindi talaga tayo pumapayat na sobrang payat. Because there are days na konti yung kinakain, but there are also days that we eat enough. And then in days na kulang yung pagkain, alam natin na meron tayong fat stores na matitira to compensate sa mga panahon na nagka-calorie deficit tayo. So that's my last bite. Automatic, no? Kanina, maliit na lang na meat yung natira. Marami pang itlog. Unconsciously, inubos ko muna yung itlog at tinirhan ko yung last piece of meat. Because I want to savor yung pinaka-last, yung gusto ko, yung masarap. Ganon din pa kayo. So I usually start my meal sa pinaka-masarap and then I also end it sa pinaka-masarap for me. So in between, yung mga okay lang and yung mga gusto ko. So, this is my plate. Simot na simot, no? Yan yung gravy ng sauce ng steak na hindi natin pinakailaman. And that is coffee, black, that's our tea. Inumin natin later. Humingi ako ng extra ice for my tea. Hindi ko rin nagamit. And water. I'm trying to hydrate more now. Kasi maraming mga araw na hindi ako nakakainom ng water because most of the time, nasa OR kami. And even if you can drink coffee, water before, pero ayaw mo rin damihan yung iniinom mong kape at saka water because ihi ka ng ihi. So, hindi kami nagbe-break in between OR. So, it's like 6 to 7 hours straight. And in between, magkakaroon ng 10, 15-minute break. And then another round. And that one is more trouble. So, kaya, in times na wala ko sa OR, I'm consciously drinking lots of fluids. Kaya, in here, may kape, may tubig, may tsaa, meron pang isang baso pa doon. So, cheers to more water. Because even if we have benefits in dry fasting, but it should only be on select time because hindi pwedeng naka-dry fasting ka parate. And too much dry fasting, if you are also giving the signal sa katawan mo na wala kang water parate, that can also lower down your metabolism. So, tapos na tayong kumain. So, that's my steak and eggs breakfast today. My post-Valentine steak and eggs breakfast. And work time. I will work na. Maraming salamat for staying with me. It is a long and dragging episode, but it's an episode that we can just share to anyone we love, especially sa mga takot kumain itlog at steak, and those people na takot pero gusto sana nilang kumain ng steak and eggs. And if there's no steak, there's other meat. Pwedeng pork, pwedeng chicken, pwedeng isda, lamb, and what have you. Kahit ano. Hello po, Kuya Jazzy. And also to other Team Low Carb USA. Natanggap ko na yung gift ninyo for Christmas na dumating kahapon na naging Valentine na. So maraming salamat, especially to Lilay. Maraming salamat. Yung shoes, yung sports gear, yung exercise gears, perfect fit talaga. At nakakatuwa, no? Yung pinadala nyo ito last time na gumagamit ng app and join our weekly live interactives, yung ating mga Q&A. We have a masterclass for that. Message nyo lang po yung admins natin if you wish to enroll. I'll see you in our next video. Remember to stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Bye!